I am super excited to say that the only reason I am able to even come out with this episode is the sponsor of today's episode. So, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it is one of the greatest things to use to make a podcast. First, it's free. Second, they have all these tools that you can use to record, edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. I do it from my phone because it's much easier. I literally just bought one of those mics from the Apple store, plug it in, and now I just talk and it's great. Also, you can distribute the podcast wherever you want. Anchor does that for you. It can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I think Stitcher, so many other places. And you can make money from the podcast. And yeah, you can start it right away with an advertisement like this. So make sure you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It is everything you need to make podcasts in one place. What's up, everybody? It's Dante, aka the Forensics Guy, and you are listening to the Forensics Experience, the podcast where we discuss topics in the speech and debate community with the world's most influential coaches, students, and alumni of the activity. And today, it's another honorable day. I am amazingly happy to be sitting with Joel Mounts. Mounts, am I pronouncing that correctly? Mounts?
You got it, Mounts. Yeah, Joel Mounts.
All right, so Joel Mounts. This is crazy. Y'all have no idea how long I've been waiting to get him on the podcast, and this is a great opportunity, and I can't wait for you to hear this episode. So I have Joel Mounts, and I'm just gonna stop at the introduction because, there's probably two of you listening that doesn't know who he is. So I'm gonna give him the chance to let those two people know. Joel Mounts, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do for the speech and debate community.
I have never had an introduction like that, and I don't think that's true. I think nobody knows who I am. I'm not so sure about that. I'm just honestly, I'm just a coach. That's all I do. I'm just a coach. I mostly coach public forum, but I coach in a unique place. So I'm in Taipei, in Taiwan. And I've been here for 4 years doing the same job. I've never had a job this long, but this is mostly where I got into the community, is honestly through this job. So I did a little bit of debate in high school, but I think like most people in the debate community, I'm not deeply into it in my soul from childhood. Okay. Because I know a lot of people in the community, they do speech and debate for years, or middle school, high school, right? And so it's this is a deep part of who they are. Yeah. And it's for me a more recent part of who I am. But I lived in China before, and I wanted to move to somewhere different. And so I just looked for a few jobs, and this one, I think just God gave me this job. That's all it was. I looked for a bunch of different ones, and this was what just the best one I found. I loved the company, I loved the boss, it was super cool. So I've been both learning and teaching. Thank God I'm not the best of my coworkers. I thank God there's better coworkers than me. So I've had so much to learn from the school, but what I've been doing recently, other than coaching, coached mostly PF, a little bit of policy. We stick to American styles because most of our clients, most of our customers are from the American school here in Taipei, and also European school and other adjacent ones. So the American style kind of fits because we send groups to the US to tournaments, right?
Yes.
But what I've been doing recently, last guess 6 months, a year, something like that, is obviously there's so much prep work, right, that you have to do in debate. And it's not like it's a unique thing amongst teachers. Almost all teachers have a ton of prep work to do, a lot of grading to do, right, in some way. But you could have a math curriculum where you teach the same thing all the time, right? You could have a science curriculum where you don't have to revamp your bio lesson, you do the same bio lesson every year, right? Yeah. And debate is cool and interesting in that we change topics all the time, right? So I necessarily have to be making obviously the new evidence packs, but new quizzes, PowerPoints, prezzies, all this stuff, which I love to do because I like to have good classes. I like to be very well prepared for my classes, and I share it as much as I can with my coworkers. But I just had this thought, like, geez, like there's so many other like debaters out there. There's so much so much else in the debate community. So I just like made a website to just share all my stuff, and then I got like really into it. I'm like, I really really like, especially the feedback I get. You know, like if I make some videos on YouTube or something that introduce the topic, and I like making videos anyway. So yeah, that's what I've been up to, focusing mostly on public forum. But like, you know, even if you take like a new public forum topic, like if I want to make a nice video and I want to make like a nice evidence pack, and I want to make all of the supplementary teaching materials, the Kahoots and the prezis especially, but also like other like video introductions to the topic, like that's going to take a full week of work if it's going to be really good. If it's rushed, it's going to be a few days or something, you know? So with PF topics coming out every 1 or 2 months, like that's mostly what I'm limited to. I would love to expand into policy or parley or other things, but like I only have so many hours in a day. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on. But it's been so much fun, and I'm just like full steam ahead on it.
That's awesome. That is amazing. Yeah,
it's called, by the way, it's called Debatetrack. If you guys want to go follow me, we just hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. I'm very proud.
Hey, that's awesome. Let's go. That is amazing. Continuously growing. Debatetrack.com. Make sure you hit that up. Yeah, he's doing some amazing things. I'm following him on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere, and I love what I'm seeing. It's absolutely amazing. Y'all make sure you check it out.
I do a lot of on Instagram. I just do a lot of like reposting politics posts from Reddit. Okay. I don't know how much people appreciate it, but like I don't want to post my politics on my personal page, so like Reddit posts on Instagram. That's what we got.
I like it. I like it. Everybody, you know, has their own take on politics, and it's a weird thing, but you know,
it is a weird thing.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you a question, like about about that weird thing about politics? Like, honestly, I've never really been into politics personally. I honestly don't have a ton of emotion invested in it. Like, I swear to God, I just voted for my first time. Like, I've never voted before, you know, and it actually was a really fun experience. I really liked it, but I've never done it before. And it's hard to, you know, describe to people that I'm like a politics teacher. I do like a lot. I think a lot about politics for my job. I have to, you know. But at the same time, emotionally, I'm not like super invested in it. Like, you know, for a lot of people, I mean, especially Americans, right? Like there's just a lot of emotions. If you meet someone, let's say at a party, and they're really into Trump, most people either like, that's my bro now, or they like hate this guy, you know. That's like most people. For me, I'm like, I don't, you know what, you play soccer, you like burritos, you like Trump, like I don't care that much, you know.
I really get where you're coming from, and I guess to like kind of speak on that and answer, I think what I've seen and what I've noticed in the, I won't say speech and debate community because I don't think it can be tied down to one specific community, but as a whole, when you look at politics, it's really like the government / society's fault that it's so polarizing, you know. Obviously,
what about Russia's fault? My quick take is I think it's Russia's fault. I think they got us. I think they won the social media thing.
You know what? I'll take that, honestly. I guess though the big answer is really I just am so upset that it's so polarizing. Like we need to do away with the party system. Like why is that a thing? But there's so many other things that have so many effects on politics, from redlining to just, I mean, a ton of things. And it's while it's there, it's continuously messing us up as a society. And I get where it comes from, you know. Like, so and what I mean is specifically, you know, you see people who are very passionate about not liking like certain presidents or certain like other political officials and things of that nature. I think it's because like it's like against your livelihood, and it makes sense. Like, I mean, I remember, don't fully quote me on this, but I remember looking at this specifically a long time ago, and there was this psychology thing that said we as humans, we're just very adamant about hating when someone disagrees with us. Like literally the levels in like anger, not even you don't have to display the anger, but you can feel it in your body. The levels
Sure.
jump up, even as something simple as if I like, because it feels like an attack, you know. Like
Yes.
if I told you I love grilled cheese sandwiches, and you were like, dude, grilled cheese sandwiches are nasty, like in a weird way, like that's what the psychology thing I was reading said. It was like stuff that
Yeah.
simple can really get to you because me liking grilled cheese sandwiches is a part of me. And
Yes.
you saying that it's nasty invalidates that part of me. And I think,
That's a legit thing to get pissed
yeah.
off about, though. Don't
And
let people diss your grilled cheese.
yeah, if you don't like grilled cheese, man, unsubscribe for real. I don't even care. No,
Yeah, for real,
no,
for real.
but but like that's so small. So you have to understand that you have to go level by level. Like on the next level, if I met somebody and they told me speech and debate sucks and I hate people who do speech and debate, like automatically there's no reason for us to talk. We have nothing to say to each other. Get out of my face. Done. Like that's not even the presidential level for most people. That's just me and my career and passion, which I guess depending on who you are, your politics may be above your passion. It could be the opposite. But to a lot of people, that's not the case. And when they hear somebody say they like Trump, they're like, you are against everything my person stands for. Like you are
Yeah,
like
it's
this.
like an attack
Yeah,
on your ego.
it is. And that helps me understand, how a person can feel because it's like you're really dropping a bomb. Like you're saying, like, I like this. And it's like, oh man, like, and unfortunately, no matter who we're talking about, there are presidents and officials that have done not great things, and I think from that
Horrible things. For
yeah,
sure, horrible things. Absolutely.
and we hear stuff and we're like, oh, you like this person? So like you're literally telling me like I like what this person has done. It's like no, you shouldn't like that,
Mm,
and that's
mm.
why a person would feel like I don't want to connect with that person. I think that's where the strength in a person's political opinions kind of stems from. That's
I
kind of my
guess I
thought.
guess I guess we're talking about two different things a little bit. Like one is
Okay.
obviously like the polarization of politics and the emotions that go along with that, and that's such a huge conversation that I wouldn't even know where to begin. I need to like listen to people talk about that. I need to listen to some like smart people talk about how to heal America's political divide because I that's something I'm really lost about.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the it's just an interesting divide, and I don't know if other like speech and debate coach, especially debate coaches, like feel this way, but like the difference between your profession and thinking about politics all the time and like your personal life, like some people love to talk about politics. Don't really, like if
Uh,
someone's like I'm out at a bar having a drink and someone's like, hey, let's talk about politics. I'm like, we can. I don't really care that much.
I, that's interesting. I This is how I feel about that. I feel that it
Yeah.
comes from a place of expertise. And what I
Yeah.
mean is like so you're a speech and debate coach. Your
Yeah.
expertise is debate, right? So
Yes.
when someone, basically a civilian, wants to talk to you about speech and debate, you might not be as excited to talk about it because there's no elevating conversation there. It's kind of like can you imagine? Like I am very confident that if somebody like I don't know, let me just think of a random person, Miley Cyrus walked up to LeBron James and started talking about basketball, like
Yeah.
LeBron James might be just like, yeah, the ball goes in the hoop, swoosh. Like he doesn't want to. He does like. There's no way Miley Cyrus can have the intellectual conversation about the finesse of the game the way that someone like Dwayne Wade could. And it's in
Yeah.
like so you want to have that conversation. You just don't want to have it with people who you believe might not be as informed or as knowledgeable about the subject. And the same thing for the
That
opposite.
could be a
If
big part. Yeah.
LeBron James wanted to talk to Miley Cyrus about, twerking or not to shade on her because I love Miley Cyrus and I think she's so beautiful. Anyway, talk to her about but singing or whatever it is, like she might be like, okay, yeah, like voice goes and it's like there's no true intellect that a person can have if they aren't.
I feel yeah. That could be a big part of it. That could be for sure. I met this really cool guy actually. Like I think you just connected some dot for me because I had a really really good political conversation over a couple hours with a guy recently that was like, you know, in a social setting, was through a friend, but it was awesome. But it's because he's like a guy from New Zealand. He's never been to the States, but he has like a major in like US history. So he like
Huh.
knows all this stuff I don't know. Like it could just be about that, like about the intellectual level we're going around at. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
connecting that dot. Yeah,
definitely.
that makes sense.
That's my personal thought. So like, yeah, like, yeah, that's all. That's all I got.
Good
That's
stuff.
the end of the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Nice and short.
No, I am so glad that you kind of mentioned that. I think that was a really great starter to kind of talk off with. I want to kind of touch on some interesting things today because you won. You've broken the record. You're the first international guest that I've had on, so that's
Oh,
awesome.
for real? Nice.
Um,
Do you do most of your interviews on Zoom now? I guess you must, right?
for the most part, I started on Anchor, but then sometimes Anchor wouldn't always
But I
be.
mean, you don't do face to face so much.
Oh, I've never ever done a face to face interview my whole
Okay, right
time.
on, right
Yeah,
on.
I don't. It was just yeah.
Where
Anchor
where,
just
where are
worked out
you
well for me.
where are you based out of?
I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, like San Jose.
Okay. Dope,
And then
dope.
I used to live in Los Angeles last year. I'm originally from Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay, cool. Michigan, next door.
Michigan,
We're neighbors.
awesome. Hello,
Yeah.
neighbor.
Yeah, what's up?
We're a lot farther now, but still neighbors in heart.
True. Yeah,
Uh,
fair.
cool. Like, so you've obviously lived in the States. Were you a speech and
Sure.
debate coach while in the States?
No. Actually got into like teaching first. So I moved to China and I became a teacher for like 4 years. I didn't start actually teaching speech and debate until I came to Taiwan here. So like I like got into the community as I started my job.
Wow, that's really
You
cool.
know, and
So,
I yeah, it was a lot of on the job training. I mean, obviously I did a little bit of speech and debate, but it's like it was kind of like in university. I did a lot of, I was a research assistant, I was a research teacher, like, and so there was some of the skills that kind of like lined up, you know,
okay,
with essentially I was a teacher and a researcher, and that's how I got hired onto the job. And then the
nice,
rest is just learning, the schematics, the terms, the strategy of the different debate formats,
definite. So and but you did compete too. I remember you said that. So I
Mm.
am curious to know for the audience, are there any differences that you've truly noticed in like speech and debate in the U.S. versus outside of the U.S.? What international like changes are prevalent, to you?
Man, that's a huge question. So like if you go on Wikipedia and you look up debate, they're going to list some debate styles, right? And there's not like the ones you've heard of. I mean, they're there, but there's like 100 different kinds of debate, right? And
Yeah.
every country has their different kind, right? And so if you look at like, so PF I guess is a good example because it's what I teach. Like, so I think so PF is like originally from America. It's not that old of a style. I don't know, 20 years old or something. And you can apply it's just a format, right? That's all it is. It's just a format of
Yeah.
debate, right? Most the topics tend to be American focused from the NSDA, but there's also people who do international PF topics, right? Like you just take the format and you change it to whatever topic you want, right? So
True.
it's all fairly adaptable, but there's a debate is a huge thing in China, and so they have like China PF debate where they focus on Chinese topic. So there's like there's a big competition in Beijing where they're going to have soon, where they're talking about the difference in infrastructure spending versus welfare spending as a way to like reduce poverty in China. So it's all like in actual
Yeah.
China. But there's a lot of weird kinds of debates also. Like there's really, like if you just scroll through that Wikipedia page, like there's like one that's I just posted an Instagram post that's like very specific to like Ireland. It's like this kind of like Irish style debate. There's stuff as crazy as like there's like Buddhist like religious debate, but it's like structured where they'll like I don't need I like when you watch it, it's really crazy. Like, I mean, it's worth looking up on YouTube, like whatever, like Tibetan Buddhist debate. They're debating like the scripture, the Buddhist scriptures or whatever. I mean, there's all different kinds of debate. And so when you look at, let's say, like American styles, right? And so you ask like if there's an American style that's applied either inside the states or outside the states. In my experience, because what I'm doing here is teaching people from international schools, they have for the Americans anyway, they have American curriculums, they have American teachers, they very much have American culture. So like speaking about a culture difference, like I live in Taiwan, right? There's a lot of animosity between Taiwan and the Chinese mainland. And so especially for younger people, like they don't want anything to do with China. Like I was going to buy my last phone and I was shopping around with my girlfriend, and just wanted to browse. I wanted to look at different stores, and I went into the Huawei store because I've heard they're sweet phones. She wouldn't even go into the store with me. She was like legit insulted. I would even consider buying a Huawei phone.
Wow.
And so here's something that kids are really into: TikTok. And I love TikTok. I'm really into it. And all of my students from the international schools are really into it. Whereas for the local kids, they all either think it's just like kind of like cringe, which it is, like I'll take that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Or or they don't want anything that's that like deeply associated with China, you know?
Wow.
So this is and I do teach students that are both from more like, let's say, more local like private schools and more like international American schools in terms of the culture, in terms of the curriculum.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the American schools themselves, I don't see a big difference at all in the culture or in the way that the debate is run, or in the obviously there will be a touch of local culture, I guess, of Chinese culture here, but I would imagine, there's American schools in France and in India. Yeah. I would imagine that those schools would have very similar it would feel very much the same as like American competitions, except maybe with a touch of their because even in the US competitions you have like international divisions, right? And kids come in and it works, everything jives well.
True. That's a good point. That was insightful. I like a lot of the stuff you were saying. I'm a little sad because Huawei is probably the only non-Apple brand that I would buy.
I mean, they make nice phones. I don't know what to say.
I like Huawei. They're great. I before I think I ever heard somebody say the name, I remember seeing like the logo and I was like, Huawei. but regardless, it is still a great phone brand. So keep it a Huawei if you're listening. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like that. There are some some differences, but it just kind of plays about in a different way. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Ultimately, I do need to tag this all by saying I don't really know the answer to your question. Like I've been in the US, I've been in Taiwan. That's not much, like there's so many other countries. I think there could be people in other countries that would give you like a wildly different answer. I just don't know. I don't know if I'm qualified to say.
And that's totally fine. I mean, you obviously can only speak on your experience, and I'm sure a lot of people are very interested in hearing the insight. So thank you so much for that, which is awesome.
Sure thing.
And you live in Taiwan. How? I guess another question that I'm very interested in knowing. This is probably more for myself, but you all listening, you can enjoy this question too. I just want to see what's like the differences in just. What's the notable? You don't have to go through them all. But what's some of the notable differences in like culture, specifically, let's say surrounding like school, stuff like that, and just in general that you've noticed like through teaching and all of that?
Yeah. So I think I really am in a cool position to talk about that. Like so Taiwan is in a lot of ways not China, but in a lot of ways very Chinese. Like they share the same language, a lot of the same culture. They look, they have the same blood. They kind of look the same as at least one of the races in China. And I taught in China as well, right? I taught in China, and I also taught here. A lot of the answers I don't think would be that shocking, right? But I'm saying one thing I do is I teach at a bunch of different schools, and some of them are like kind of international style schools, like American style specifically, and then some of them are like more local style schools, although they tend to be kind of like fancy private schools because the students are all fluent in English, which is not a normal thing in a country like Taiwan. You know? And there's very, very, very big differences. The biggest place that I see it is in the students themselves, right? So the more local or traditional schools have a lot of focus on teaching values to students, whereas I think American schools would have more emphasis on teaching academics. So it's very important that local students, maybe for their schools, that they're obedient, that they have a lot of respect for their teachers, for the classroom, for the school. And so this would go even so far as in Japanese culture, which is nearby, that they don't hire like cleaners for their school because the students do everything. Like this, the students are responsible for making their learning environment good, right? And that's part of the respect that they show to their community, to their building, to the to the teachers, right? And so it's very easy, for example, for me to teach these classes. You know, if I have 50 students that are all like local Taiwanese, they're going to be listening intently. They're going to be taking notes. You know, they're not going to be like, you know, chat. They're not like, they're behavior wise, they're truly excellent and truly admirable. But that's because the school will emphasize these values so heavily. You know, and from a very, very young age. Like I think it recently just became, I mean, not recent, like in the last generation, I won't say that recently, but in the last generation became like not okay for students to like hit their kids in school. You know, like this is kind of like how much they like demand respect, right? And so this obviously, it's not like all cultural differences are good things. Like there's really bad parts about some culture and like really awesome parts about some other cultures. But for a lot of things, it's like you can see there's some good and bad things about it, right? And so these students tend to be much better at learning any new subject, right? So if I one of the things, it's a big pet peeve of mine as a teacher, is like I really take my time to explain things slowly and from many angles, and I make sure that if a student is paying a little bit of attention, they will learn what I'm trying to teach them. And so for the local kind of the more Taiwanese students, like they will, you know, this style really works for them. In terms of international students, you know, kind of more American culture, like obedience is either not emphasized or sometimes even devalued. In other words, you want students to be like creative and have an open mind and maybe to disagree with your teachers. You know, that could even be seen as, I mean, obviously some teachers might not like that, but it could actually be seen as like a virtue, right? That you're thinking on your own, you're thinking independently. But as a result, they're much more just what I'd say naughty, you know, like it's the like classroom management is a much bigger issue for international students generally, specifically American students versus local students. So where that translates into debate, it's like the local students who are they're essentially much better students. They're better at being in the classroom, at listening, at staying focused, at taking notes, at remembering the things. You know, they're much better at this, right? And so they tend to do much better than the international students, I would say, early on in their debate learning, right? Because like the even just like the basic facts of the situation, they're going to have that down. Anything you tell them, they're going to know that, you know, from here on out.
Okay.
But interestingly, you start to see that kind of switch as they get later into their debate community or into their debate career, where the lecture you give on the topic in class becomes less important, and their independent research, their creative thinking, and, you know, like forming fairly complex arguments or thinking on their feet, just those areas where creativity really needs to take the wheel behind above like rote learning. So like most of our real like champions, like the people that like go to the US and like win championships, these tend to be the American style students, right? Okay. But like we teach kids as young as like 7 or 8. We have like a modified version of public forum that we teach them, even on some of the same PF topics. Just shorter speeches essentially. And the students from the local schools tend to mop up the competition there. They do so good there.
That's awesome. Cool.
I could talk about this forever. I love Taiwan so much. If you have any other specific questions, I could field those.
No, that's awesome. I love that you love it, and I love that you're able to give so much insight on it. I do want to talk a little bit about a Debatetrack, because I know a lot of people are listening and they heard us talk about it earlier. Debatetrack.com. What exactly are your like future plans? I'm sure debaters are wondering that, because I know right now you said you're just doing PF, and you're kind of
Yeah.
releasing those things like briefs or stuff like that, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you have like what are your plans of expansion and like how does it work? Is it like do you just have like the videos or can people actually buy like briefs from you and stuff like that?
I don't no, I don't sell anything, you know, like I have a job here and I really love the job and I don't really like need the money from anything. And most not all of these materials, actually I put a lot of work in the materials for Debatetrack because I've got a lot of good feedback from it. Like I know people are using them, you know, so I want to like
That's
put out
awesome.
some good materials for people. If if there was two people downloading them every month, I might not put in so much effort. But like I know people are like appreciating these, so you know I put some effort into it. But a lot of the same things I have to do for my classes anyway, you know. So
Yeah,
like I'm prepping these topics really hard, whether it's for Debatetrack or for my classes, you know. So it's just a lot of the maybe like extra materials and stuff like that I put in, especially to help teachers, you know, like you know the quizzes and the introduction, some of the handouts, like they're good, but I think they could be really helpful for teachers, or even the lectures, you know, like I make like prezis or PowerPoints. I think those could be specifically helpful for teachers. So um yeah, I don't know. Like I think I maybe have like a touch of like narcissistic grandiosity or something. Like every every single thing I think I'm doing in my life, I have these like crazy dreams about. Like short term, I'm working on putting out some actual like teaching programs for, I mean, for PF first, right? But even this is going to take some months to put
yeah,
together, you know, because I there isn't there's a lot of information online about like how to learn PF, but there's not like a good like just solid course. Like here's like these are all the things you have to do, you know. And especially for like intro classes, I tend to give the same lectures over and over and over, you know, like the basics of argumentation, like some of the basics of logic, like refutation drills, you know,
that's
like. And I do these over and over and over. I just want to like do it one time and
I'm
then people can
I'm
just watch the lectures, you know.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. It's crazy because that is very similar to a route that I'm working on right now. Is
uh
like we can definitely maybe team up on the PF part or something. But
Heck
I'm
yeah.
looking at doing like those type of like you know static asynchronous I guess courses of like you know like all the categories and stuff like that and like how to be successful at them, how to coach things of that nature, and
Yeah.
just yeah, just trying to like so you don't have to like you said kind of keep repeating yourself and you just have it like boom here it is. If you want to
Yeah.
know how to do public forum from never doing it in your life to you know being solid and having a solid foundation at it, here's the resource. Go through these
Yeah.
courses and these different modules and boom you'll learn it, you know.
Yeah. And this is, it's not like a unique idea, obviously. I
I
mean,
mean true,
a lot of
yeah,
people do this, especially from universities. I mean, a lot of great universities, a lot of the best in the US, they put a lot of their lectures online for free. So if you want
true.
to go learn like bio 100 through 200 through 300, you can learn them from the best professors in the world, you know, like
Shout out to
easily
yes.
for free.
So true. Shout out to what is it, Apple classes or something. I know there's others, but I'm too big
there's
for
so
Apple.
many there's so
But,
many really
but
dope
yeah,
platforms. And I just, you know, this idea of like just share the stuff you've got. Like what are you holding on to things for, you know? Like we have the internet, like try to help people as much as they can, you know.
yeah.
uh
I think
like this like this thing how like Elon Musk like gives all his blueprints for all his inventions out for free just because why not, like,
yeah, like
you know.
seriously, like
Like
this is
it's helping all of us. It's helping all of us together. So,
it is.
but I don't think there's a course right that I could be wrong, but I've looked a lot. I don't think there's a solid course like that for PF. I know it's Stephen Bouchard. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but the guy who does Debate US, I think he's the Harvard coach. He has a great like kind of PF guide, but
Okay.
there's just very little production and very little detail. I mean, it's one guy once again doing
Yeah,
so much for the community.
yeah.
Um, but it, you know, once again, it's one guy and he's covering like all kinds of topics, doing all kinds of tournaments, like coaching all kinds of schools, you know, like
True.
I feel like I might have a little bit more time than him, especially to focus just on this one thing, just PF. I just want to make like a nice PF course.
I like it. That's cool.
But yeah, long-term future, take over the world for sure.
I
Debatetrack for president.
We have very similar paths. I don't know if I want to be president. I don't know. I don't want to get that. I don't want to get so big to where it is literally like almost against the law for me not to have security. Like, you know, but I'm okay with being, you know, decent.
Yes.
I literally just read this. Oh my God, sorry, this is off topic, but y'all don't care. Anyway, but I just read this thing on what was it? What's that one site where you go to where you can read all the, like, people ask questions all of the Quora. And
Quora,
somebody asked about the president and like, what if he wanted to go outside by himself, just to go on a walk, you know, just to clear his head. And they were like, like he literally can't go out by himself. Like the most he could do is like, he could say like, all right, you have to stay, stay a distance from me so I can just feel alone. But he literally can't go out by himself. That's crazy. Like of course not. I can't imagine that. I would not want that.
I'm taking a little video screenshot. Hi, pose. Hi. Okay, cool. Finished. Yeah, I saw something recently. Even like Anthony Fauci. He was going on like a jog, and he needs like security to like tag along with him because he's getting like death threats. You know,
it's crazy. Like I remember.
He's like a doctor. He's like a doctor who needs security. Is getting death threats. You know,
that was just out of this world, dude. Like people like I was seeing like Mark Zuckerberg, same thing. They got millions of dollars a year on security, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to be that big. Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, some people don't necessarily. It's maybe not necessarily about how big you are, because there's some big celebrities who I don't think they waltz around with security all the time.
That's a good question.
Yeah, how much hate you got coming your way? Like that's the big thing.
That's true. Like I can't imagine Beyonce having like tons of security. Maybe she does. I don't know.
Well, no, you're right. So there's two things. One, if people hate you, and one, if you're Beyonce famous. I think Beyonce famous, you got to have security. If you're really, really, really famous, yeah, you got to have some security.
Yeah,
just keep the fans off you as much a little bit. There's crazy people out there. There's like a lot of crazy people out there, you know.
Yeah, sad, but it's true.
You're making if you're like a huge celebrity, you're taking a little bit of a risk not having. So are you worried that your debate acumen is perhaps going to get to that level?
I don't think it will. I don't know. You never know. I doubt.
You never know.
Also, the speech and debate community is big, but it's not like
not that big.
If my whole presence was solely comprised of just speech and debate people, I shouldn't have over like 50 million people, you know, following. You know, like there's not that many. Like it's a lot, but I don't think it's that large of a, you know, it's still kind of a niche thing, you know.
It's a little bit of a niche thing. Yeah. People know about it, but not everyone's in it.
We used to make a joke that it was kind of like a cult. It was like you just literally sit, like as a parent, you send your kid out in a suit, they go on a bus, they leave for a weekend, and then they come back with trophies, and you're like, what is this?
It is a little bit of a cult. It is.
Like, if you never had any idea of what speech and debate is, and you just walked in on a tournament, you're like, there's people talking to walls. There's people like. There's literally 13-year-olds drinking coffee. You know,
yes.
But yeah, it's crazy.
It's a beautiful cult.
It is.
It's welcoming. It's
definitely
cult.
One of my.
We want you in it.
It's one of my favorite cults. After watching, oh man, I don't know what I'm gonna name this episode, but it might be something relative to what I'm about to say now. Anyway, I was watching John Oliver, and he had an episode about like, I think televangelists or something, and unfortunate, you know, like the big ones that are basically scamming people for money and stuff. But he talked about like how to like make a church and make a religion and stuff. And it was so like when he said that, I literally kept thinking about like, what if I made speech and debate a religion? And like I created this whole thing, made it like this tax exempt like worship service thing. Like, and he was talking about all the qualifications to be a organized religion. Like you have to have like you have to meet on a specific day of like service and stuff, and that's like Saturday tournaments basically.
Like we're pretty close.
Yeah, you have like the rituals and all the like. We're not far from being a religion.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So
I'm down with that. I'll join your speech and debate religion.
Oh man, it's gonna be great. I don't know if I want to be the leader of it because then I'm gonna feel bad. But
that's the yeah. Well, I mean, it depends. If it's gonna be a real religion, then you don't want to. It's like I think you're very charismatic, and we'd all vote you to be the leader. But if you want it to be a cult, you have to be like really. You have to be really into that. You know, like try to like collect dues from everyone, like buy fancy cars.
I think
wear a fancy hat.
I think that's the difference of religion and cult. Like a cult to me, I imagine a leader, but like it's a person, like a live flesh and blood person for the most part.
Yeah.
But like a religion, like there's some higher force, deity, something that we can almost create and give it, you know, like a what's the word? Personification, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be, but
I mean, take some time to think about it. Maybe you can make like a new debate style, you know, like debate religion style. Who can like be the most like pious towards the religion? They win the debate.
I love it. If you're listening, you got some ideas. Make sure you hit us up. Okay. I promised. My goal is to try to keep episodes more biteable size. So for the most part, no more. Like I want to like.
Where are we at, man? I think an hour is fine. Where are we at? I can't. I'm so dumb, man. I have no idea what time is it.
Probably at like 40. Probably like 40 minutes.
Why? Yeah. I do have a clock. Yeah, we're hitting on an hour. Pretty close.
My original goal was like, all right, let's try 20, 25. I'm like, no, there's no way I can do 25. I was like, we're gonna get off into some stuff. We're gonna see what happens. But I think that this, oh my God, this has been a great episode. I think that this is a really good kind of segue to just kind of closing and kind of giving us these final things. But
there's like 57 other things I want to ask you about, but for the sake of brevity, let me ask you.
No, Phil.
One question.
You know what? Feel free. Just ask me whatever questions, and we will see how the pacing goes. If you're listening and you're like, if you're like, oh, I hate that these episodes are so long. You know what? No, but
thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Thanks for chilling with us.
Go ahead. Ask me some questions.
All right. What do you think are the problems with debate events the American styles of, what have you coached before? Like PF policy, LD. I know what the other ones, and then like speech events.
I'm pretty speech events. I'm a speech over debate person. That's just my number one.
Okay.
I've always been in love with speech. It's been my number one thing.
Okay.
I like debate. I've coached debate, LD, things of that nature. The only thing I really don't touch that much, mainly because I don't know, I just don't like it as much as policy. No offense. I'm sorry.
No, it's extremely complex. I feel the same way. I don't think you have to policy is the top of the debate game. It's extremely complex. Like you need some competency and able to teach it. Yeah.
It is. Sure. You're not wrong.
How about but you're familiar with, I'm just saying about these American styles generally, right? And the speech events of what impromptu and extempore and whatever.
Yeah.
What, if anything, do you think is a problem with the collection of events that we have? And do you think that there should be some direction they're heading in, or another style that could, do you think there's some like structural issues with the events as we have them?
I have so many of those. Oh my gosh, thank you for that. I don't get to talk about them enough, but let's just go down the list. The first thing I hate, I'm sorry, spreading. If you're listening and you're a spreader, it's not that I'm against spreading as a whole. It's just that the reason it was created, like literally, like the reason spreading was created was to basically turn speech and debate into almost a counting sport like basketball. Like the idea of spreading really is so that now I can throw up 30 different arguments with all this speed, and then if you don't have enough speed with me, you have to try to block 30 arguments. And it almost feels like you're playing volleyball with like words and debate, and then you have so many. It's just I don't like the vibe of it. I don't like the idea of it. That's just
that is one of the things. One of the many things that makes policy so technical, right?
Yeah,
is having to contend with that, and it's something that also makes it very inaccessible. It's also something that makes it. It's not a skill that you could apply to any other domain of your life. The skill of spreading, which
is crazy though, because out of all the categories, I think anybody listening would have to agree that policy is the most accessible category. Like, I mean, like literally UDLs are specifically mainly just focused on policy. Like the fact that,
it's like, Like
Like the fact that policy is open and has the ability for so many people to do it of so many different walks of life really does make my day, which is why I love policy and I never want to cancel policy. But there are some things that I'm not the biggest fan of. And it's definitely not just policy, because let's be honest, PF and LD are basically like diet policy now. Like they're basically just spreading in shorter times, and it's all this different
Fair.
Yeah.
Whenever I judge PF, I tell them not to spread. I just say, look, stop, don't.
I mean, you like, especially
my judging rules.
Like you can debate me on LD, but PF was literally made to be a category where I should be able to walk out the door and say, hey, yo, you want to judge? And then they come in and judge. Yeah. And if you start off saying, resolution 1, and like you, like the person that just walked in is going to be like, what is happening? I am out of here. I don't know what kind of cult I just got into.
Yes, certainly PF was meant to be something more simple, and it's just evolving towards exactly policy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that I'm sad about. I won't spend too much on that, so I'll just say that's one of my things. Another thing I wouldn't say, I mean, you could say it's a problem technically, but I also can just kind of blame it on ignorance. And I think that we as a community are getting better at trying to figure out ways. I mean, as people know, I'm very big on making speech and debate accessible, equitable, and just inclusive as possible. And I think one thing that we fail at is kind of inclusivity, and inclusivity especially because we need more categories for people who can't do speech and debate in the normal confines of speech and debate. So I remember having a conversation. By the time this comes out, I'll probably end up at least having some conversations with them or doing some work with them. But I've been kind of doing some small partnering over with the Practice Space, which is an amazing speech and debate place in the Bay Area. They're doing really great things for inclusivity as well. And I remember having a conversation with the director there, and we were talking about other categories, other ways to bring speech and debate to a big forefront. So I'm a member of ACB, which is the American Council for the Blind. My best friend Greg is as well, who is at least as far as I'm concerned, Wisconsin's first blind forensics coach, which is awesome. So shout out to him.
Super nice.
We were talking about the category of radio, which pretty much only exists, if I'm not mistaken, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois, but there might be like 1 or 2 other states that have it, but not many. And radio is a category typically where you are presenting like a radio, like it's kind of a more fun way of doing it. Except you're like a news reporter or a radio broadcaster, and you're doing this radio thing. You got news, weather, all that stuff. The big thing about the category is that you're not looking at the person. Like what I heard what people used to do is judges would literally turn their chair away from you, and then that way you didn't see anything, and you were only judging them off their voice and how well they presented. So no gestures, no anything. And that's a perfect category for people who might be blind or hard of hearing. Wow, I just said blind or hard of hearing. Yes. So I meant to say
visually impaired. Yeah. No, I've never thought about that issue before, and I've certainly never thought about a solution, and I've never heard of radio, and that sounds dope. That's a really perfect example.
If we can get radio to be something that is on a larger scale, that will be really awesome. And yeah, shout out to my boy Greg. I'm definitely working with him to try to make that happen a lot more. And also, there's some other things that I'm very interested in. So, for example, I'm working with us. Oh, well, I used to work with a student. We haven't, COVID and other things have kind of stopped that, but I was working with an awesome, amazing student named Kobe. He is mute, or mute is, I guess that's a fair word. I don't, but he's autistic, and he's nonverbal and stuff. I think that's basically the same thing. Yeah. So he's nonverbal, and he's an amazing kid, and he's literally like a third, fourth grader, and I'm talking reading the stuff that he writes. It's like a college kid wrote it. It's amazing. Like, you have no idea. Wow. And it's so awesome. And it got me to really thinking about the fact that, you know, we need a category like that. We need a like a category where, you know, we can adhere and add inclusivity for students who literally don't have a physical voice, but would still like to have a voice in what they do and say. It would be really awesome to add something where it could be like almost an essay submission type of category where students can be judged just based off of, you know, their writing. And it's weird because I know a lot of people are listening, and you may not agree with me. I don't know. I'm not sure. But regardless.
Well, I think the counterpoint would be like, there are writing competitions, there are like writing classes, there like are places where someone who's just trying to write could fit in.
True.
But in terms of like expanding this speech and debate and writing, in terms of expanding the community, because it is a really big community, and there could be many different sort of avenues to bring people into the community, you know, and from there, you know, explore everything that it has to offer in terms of just like, I mean, all the academic skills it teaches you, you know, like if he was in the community and he could, you know, compete in terms of writing, like there could be other things that he could start doing or get into that could also help him quite a bit.
Exactly. And that's kind of my big thing, is that, yes, there are other writing competitions, and that's awesome as well. I mean, there's also other speaking competitions. All I'm saying is that specifically in the confines of our activity, speech and debate, it would be great to have a category where students can submit writings and still be able to feel like they can communicate in this activity. So there you go. I think that that's something also that's needed. There's a list of other things that we are still working on. We're still stepping up. It's kind of funny that even as I mentioned that one of my TikToks, when this comes out, this would be like months ago. So I feel like now, I feel like I'm going to be probably like one of those high school quarterbacks that's like 40 still talking about his old days. But I had a TikTok that went pretty big, and it got a lot of thousands of views and stuff. It was crazy. And
yeah, man, you blew up.
Yeah, and it was talking.
You didn't have. I feel like before that video, I mean, you gained like a bunch of subscribers, right? A bunch of followers to that video.
Literally, I've been kind of tracking. I think in the last 15 days, I've gained like 2,100 maybe, or 20.
That's
20.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Like that. And I was like, oh wow, this is great. But one of my TikToks that did pretty well was like, it's hard to explain it, but basically it's like, the premise of it was saying that it was kind of a joke, but it was a really great joke because a lot of people loved it. But it was kind of saying that when, you know, male debaters are usually like screaming or like being angry or hostile in a room, it's almost seen as more normal or kind of a boys will be boys type of thing. But it's very unfortunate that if you see that from a girl's perspective, I've seen much more ballots and things of that nature where judges are like, you need to stop being so aggressive. You need to stop being this way. You need to, and it's like, they're doing the same things that the guys would do. And it's very unfortunate that they're judged that way. And I think that that's another problem and another thing that we definitely need to work on in terms of viewing people of different genders, races, and everything, and seeing that like they should be judged in the exact same way that everyone else is judged, so that it can.
I think that's kind of a tough inherent problem about judging at all, is it's a very like subjective human thing, right?
It is, yeah. And I I mean, I know what to do about it. So big shout outs to companies or companies. I don't like the word companies for this, but organizations like Beyond Resolve and stuff that are really helping out. Beyond, I just had them on probably, assuming the schedule date, probably like 5 episodes before this one. So they're absolutely doing amazing things, and they're working on judge trainings and stuff like that. That's going to help hold more people like accountable and responsible, and it's awesome. I love it so much. So definitely check those things out, and try to just learn. I think that it's really easy for people to just be like, oh, this is a problem, but like, the thing is, we just want you to be open to admitting that it's a problem and then figuring out exactly how we can change it. Like as a male, a cisgender male, I shouldn't be like, what do you mean women are dealing with this? Are you crazy? I should just be like, oh wow, I had no idea thousands and thousands of women are dealing with this in debate. How can I change it? Boom. That's it. That's the whole conversation. There's no reason to have a debate there, So if we can
that honestly, like, from my gut reaction, that would be my go-to response. Like, okay, there's a few women debaters who are like whining about this, blah blah blah, but we have like actual data on it, and like there's a lot of like judge bias like all over the place. Like
there's so
we have information about this.
It's crazy, but it's even I think that one thing I can say that we have to work on as a world, this isn't just speech and debate, is that why don't people listen to data? People only listen.
Keep your bias at least until the data rejects it, right? Then you have to get rid of your bias.
People literally only listen to data when it's inherently benefiting their position, and it's unfortunate.
This is true.
I don't know what to do about that at all. I really don't. And I mean, I guess I slightly understand. Like, I mean, there's always going to be, no matter what you say, there can always probably be data on the opposite side, sure. But a lot of people forget to look at, where things came from, who said what, stuff like that. Like, I just think we forget that, like somebody could be saying that, somebody could be telling me that, I don't know, I love Apple so much. That's my favorite brand, right? And somebody can say, like, Apple is such a bad brand, bro. Look, I have all this data about all the bad things they do. And then I say, no, I have all this good data. And then you look at my data and all of it was created by Apple. And and you're just like, what? That's not good data. Like, no, like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know what we're gonna do about that. But
it is a thing. I mean, I think just as a teacher, as a coach, like, that's something you can try to take to your students, like, at least individually, is like, use good evidence. Like, don't cheat. Like, don't lie about things.
Yeah.
It's really easy to lie and say anything you want.
True.
With evidence to back you up. Like, that's easy to do, but like, I think that's kind of a value we kind of at least try to teach, one-on-one, and also not be afraid during rounds. People don't like to indict evidence or like pick on evidence. Like, no, pick on the evidence. Like, I'll ask for evidence during judging all the time. Some people like it's about time, or like they don't want to, look at the evidence is important.
You're not wrong about that though. Like, and I fell victim to that, because I think it's because, like, in our minds, you're right about certain things. Like, we don't want to slow down the tournament. We don't want to slow down the round. Sometimes, like, there's all these small things going through our head. And then, like, you don't want like, it feels weird to have almost like a bias. Like, you might feel like you have a bias in your mind. You're like, do I just think that this person is lying because, like, blank? It's like, just try to be as authentic as possible. And if that data feels not right to you, then be real about asking for it.
It's, I mean, like, you're the judge, like, that's what you're there to do. That's your job. And it doesn't feel comfortable to do that. And you do have biases, and you should try to be neutral, but like, if you're not policing poor evidence, who's gonna do it? Like no one else. You're the person in the room, and that's literally your job to do. So
that's true. I think, I guess even until we get to that point, big shout out to orgs that are, like a lot of these big tournaments do kind of have that policing usually at like final rounds and stuff. They're like, wait a minute, let's make sure, so great job at that. But just, keep adding that, keep encouraging your judges to say, actually, I'm very confident 70% of the world didn't get COVID. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Then check it out.
Yeah.
Cool. That was a great question. That really was.
We could certainly do this for another 52 hours straight. I have full confidence.
I love
if we needed to do a 24-hour live stream, it would not be hard.
Oh my gosh. It's tough. Like I've always thought about something like that. I just know in my mind, like I can't, like being up for 24 hours is really tough. It is. I just don't know if I can fully do it. Like even when I was younger, I just couldn't vibe with it. Like when I was 16, whatever, like I was the most boomer little child ever. Like my mom could tell you, like my daily routine, no joke, was like literally like my nightly routine was pretty much eat dinner, maybe do some homework, which I pretty much didn't do, and then go to bed at like 8 p.m. after watching like 2 episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond. Like that was literally my life. I was like a boomer in like a little man body. It was great. So
maybe we can do a 24-hour live stream for charity once you hit 1 million followers on TikTok.
That's awesome. I'll totally do that. That would be really great. I'm not a big coffee drinker, so maybe I'll have to drink a little bit. Maybe we'll get that.
We'll find something for you.
What's the people that they sponsor everything? That Bang Energy or something? Maybe we'll.
On TikTok. You're right. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get
24-hour Bang sponsored live stream for charity. There we go.
Yes. That would be great. Oh man, cool. Okay. We're good. We're gonna cut it. But this was great. I really hope you all enjoyed this episode. I think this was a lot of fun, and it was really great having just him on to talk about so many great things. I'm just so excited. And I'm super excited for you all to just kind of listen to this, and feel free to give me feedback. As usual, make sure you go to the Apple Podcast. I will remind you of this 1,000 times until the day that you die. Go to Apple Podcasts and rate this 5 stars in the app. Please, it's going to be awesome. It's going to help me continue to give this to more people and grow in the education field. And for those who are listening and they want to talk to Joel and they want to learn more about Debatetrack, how can they find you? How can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, we're at Debatetrack. We got debatetrack.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Awesome. So
hit us up anywhere.
Yeah, hit them up anywhere. They're everywhere. They even got a MySpace. Make sure you hit them up on MySpace. MySpace /Debatetrack.
Our pigeon carriers will come right to your house. No, for real though. Like all the material we have, all like the evidence and everything is just on our website, debatetrack.com. So if you're just looking for like all the PF material like straight away, like you need a case and your tournaments tomorrow, like debatetrack.com.
Just quickly download it. And if you don't have internet, their rotary phone number is no, I'm just kidding. All right, but check it out. It's there. It's awesome. And if you need to stay in the conversation, you want to hit me up, you already know, at the Forensics Guy at all my social media channels, TikTok and stuff like that, especially on TikTok. I'm having a lot of fun on TikTok. It's pretty crazy, so make sure you follow me there.
Cool place.
Other than that, super excited to have Joel on again, and super excited to continue to do this and continue to hopefully bring value to you all as you all are trying to grow in your speech and debate careers. I know this is a lot and very hard during COVID times, but I was hoping to bring a smile to your face, and that would really make my day. So as usual, I will see you all later. Peace out.